अस्सलाम वालेकुम, नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल। I'm Dr. Kamila Haider और इस वक्त मैं शो कर रही हूँ रेडियो फजा 97.1 एफएम पे। रेडियो फजा 97.1 एफएम जो हर दिन आपके लिए 24/7 एक नया piece of information entertainment लेकर आते हैं. And today we are here with our healthy discussion show again. Obviously, we do it on Thursday, 7 to 8, but because this is a big show and it's a very high profile show today, believe me, and you have to stay from the start to the end of the show to get the best of it. So we have changed the time so that we could get all the guests on our show today. And I'm going to introduce them one by one, and we're going to see why they're here and what are they telling us today. So it's a very important show. I'm very excited about it. It's about financial health and well-being, which we are worried about it, but we don't talk about it that much. It's very personal to us. It's very protective, and yet it's very important. So, yes, once again with Dr. Kamla Heather on Healthy Discussions on Radio Faza 97.1 FM. Without any delay, I would start my show today with Haley Ellis. Hi, Haley. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon.
So here is Haley. You can see we are six of us on the screen, and I was supposed to be in the studios today, but because there was a death in the family, I had to travel. So hey ho, thanks to all the live streaming that is done these days, it helped me, and the show is still on, so that's good. So Haley, thank you for being with us today, and we have our guest Emma Bates. Hi Emma, can you just wave? Yeah, thank you. We have got the names with the photos with their videos as well. We then have Leslie Ayulo here. He's a counselor. Hello. We have Kat. Kat, can you please wave? Thank you. And then we have Sally. Sally, hi. Okay, so let's start the show from Haley. Haley, we will be talking about small steps, big changes. Is that right?
Yeah, I work for Small Steps, Big Changes. I'm going to be talking today about the Healthy Start scheme.
Okay, that's good. So, a little bit that I have been told about it, but I would want to know more, obviously. But what I have been told is that it's designed to help low income pregnant women and families with children under four who buy cow's milk, infant formulas, fruit, vegetable, pulses, as well as receive free healthy start vitamins across England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. I will put some questions towards Haley. If you have any questions, the audience, we are live streaming right now on Facebook and YouTube, and it's also on the Radio Fazza page. So if you have any questions, you can put it there. If you're not able to answer you now, we can always come back to you later on. So Haley, coming back to you, what is the Healthy Start scheme?
Just as you said, it's a national scheme, so it's a scheme that's been going for a number of years now, and it is, as you said, help to buy healthy fruit, vegetables, pulses, cow's milk, infant formula, as well as receive free vitamins. So it's been available, it's across England, Wales and Northern Ireland, and my role within this is to promote the making awareness of the scheme.
Okay. So how do I know that if I'm eligible to enter the scheme? What happens?
So there's different criteria. So it's dependent on the benefits that you're on. So you can claim the benefit from 10 weeks of pregnancy and it goes up to the child's 4th birthday. So for people to apply, they need to be on either universal credit or child tax credit. So the universal credit needs to be £408 or less per month for the family. And then the child tax credit is a family income of 16,190 or less per year. Now, if these families are claiming these benefits, they're fortunate that they can apply online. It's quite a straightforward application. However, if there's families on legacy benefits, these are the old style benefits, and I know Emma's team will be able to give you some more information on those. Income support is one, income pays job seekers allowance, income related employment and support allowance, and pension credit. These families will need to contact Healthy Start and they'll need an application form. And then people who are pregnant and under the age of 18, and then families with no recourse to public funds because of the immigration status or lack of immigration status, they'll need to contact Healthy Start and they'll also be given a paper form. They complete the paper form and then they just send that back to the Healthy Start team.
Okay, so how do I get this form? Where do I apply? Is it online? Do we have to go to an office? What is it?
You can apply online to the Healthy Start team. So you can
Okay.
find that information is just direct online through their website, or you can contact the Healthy Start team through, it's the telephone number is 0300 330 7010.
All right. Okay, that's good. I think we'll repeat that at the end of the show again because people might not catch up. Some might join us late.
Yeah.
Um, you've just given us some figures about money. So can you repeat that? How much money does a person receive?
So the amount is a weekly amount that's put onto the card every month.
Mhm.
So if a family from 10 weeks of pregnancy are claiming, they will get £4.25 a week that's put onto the card every month. So that's £17. And then once the baby's born, from birth up to 1 year, they'll get £8.50 a week that's put onto the card again every 4 weeks. So that would be £34. And then once the baby's turned 1 and up to the age of 4, it goes back to £4.25. And it's per child as well. It's not per household. So if they've got more than one child under that age of 4, the amount does obviously add up because it's per child. So for example, if there's somebody pregnant in the household, if the family's pregnant, if they've already got a baby and they've got another child under 4, that could add up to £68 a month extra income for help to buy healthy fruit, vegetables and pulses, etc.
That's really helpful to know. And I didn't know that. I'm sure my audience weren't aware of it, but those who are listening to it, I'm sure they must get hold of people who are getting pregnant or want to start a family, or it's a very important piece of information. And are there any specific areas where you need to shop, or you can shop anywhere in any store?
That's a good question. So the scheme recently switched from a voucher scheme to a card scheme now. So it looks
Mhm.
exactly like a MasterCard, and
Mhm.
people can shop anywhere that's classed as a food retailer, accepts MasterCard, and sells the Healthy Start items. So it sells the fruits, the vegetables, the pulses. So yes, as long as it's classed as a food retailer and sells those items, it should accept the Healthy Start card. So you're talking about all your local supermarkets, your convenience stores, market stalls, news
Mm,
agents, butchers, petrol stations, lots of different
everywhere.
places where people could go. Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
that's really good. So I was looking at the list you gave me: the cow's milk, infant formula, fruit, vegetables, pulses, and then you have said free healthy start vitamins as well. And
Mhm.
why do you think you recommend that? And to put that on the list is quite an important thing. But why?
It is, yeah, definitely. So sometimes pregnant women and new mums and small children might not get everything that they need from a balanced diet just alone. So the Healthy Start vitamins they don't contain any milk, egg or gluten, soya or peanut residues. So they're suitable for vegetarians and halal diets. And we would recommend that you can claim the free vitamins every 8 weeks, and they're suitable from birth as well. So they're recommended for mothers, breastfeeding babies, and formula fed babies as well, receiving 500 mils of milk a day. Um, all pregnant and breastfeeding women are at risk of vitamin D deficiency, so we would just recommend the vitamins for that reason. So you can collect them in various different locations in the county, from children's centres and places. Or in the city, you could get them from the Not to 19 Health Visiting Service. And there is a stockist list that maybe just needs checking on the Healthy Start website. But there is a stockist list of different places that could distribute them as well. But it's just worth checking that they still are offering them. But you can get them from your midwife, you can get them from the Not to 19 service. And families with no recourse to public funds who aren't on the Healthy Start scheme can also get the vitamins that way. And at the moment, the midwives are offering free vitamins to all pregnant ladies, whether they're on the Healthy Start or not. So once they've become pregnant and they've told the midwives, they'll receive the free vitamins.
That's really good. I mean, that's a very good thing to put on. So, is there any specific? It should be healthy start vitamins. They can't claim any other vitamins.
On the Healthy Start scheme, yes, it has to be the Healthy Start vitamins
Okay. All
to
right.
get them for free. Yeah.
That's fine. And so, so all the retailers can be used, or the retailers have to do something to enter your scheme?
No, they don't need to do anything. Previously on the voucher scheme, they had to register. Now they don't need to do anything. And that's the bonus for retailers now, because if they were to advertise that they do accept the Healthy Start card, it would increase the footfall for retailers as well, for people to go into their shop with the confidence that they know that they can use the Healthy Start card there. So that is one good thing for the retailers. They don't have to do anything. They could promote it. They do offer... They allow enable people to use the card. But yeah, as long as the class as a food retailer accept MasterCard, that's all they need to do.
Wow, that's good. Just one last question I wanted to ask you was, the cow's milk infant formula that and all the things. Is there anything? Is there any brand that you recommend that they need to buy, or they can buy any cow's milk, any formula?
Yeah, the only stipulation is that it's the stage 1 only formula milk.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's great, Haley.
Thank you
So
so much.
is there anything else that we need to know
Um,
that we haven't covered so far?
No, there's just one thing. I think that some interesting facts. I suppose people would like to know, can you save up on the card? Yes, people can. It goes up to 16 weeks that they can save money on the card, but after that, the money will be taken back to the Healthy Start team. That's worth knowing. It's worth also bearing in mind that if families are on universal credit, they do need to have all children listed under universal credit. And once the baby, if they've been claiming the Healthy Start from pregnancy, once the baby's born, they do need to know the Department for Work and Pensions and Healthy Start know that the baby's been born, and that just avoids payments stopping. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Thank you so much. I think that was very valuable piece of information. The first thing that we had to do is to introduce Haley. Haley, would Emma like to tell Haley your role in Healthy Start, or Haley, would you like to tell about yourself, your role in this organization?
So you want me to?
Introduce yourself. Sorry,
All
this
right.
was supposed to be done in the beginning, but because
Yeah.
you gave such a valuable piece of information, we would want to know what's your role there.
All right. So yeah. So my name is Haley Ellis, and I work for a company called Small Steps, Big Changes, which is hosted through City Care. And my role within this project is to promote the Healthy Start scheme to hopefully increase the uptake of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Haley, for being with us today. And I'm sure people who are not with us, they'll be able to see this live on. I mean, we're live on Facebook, but this video will be there on Facebook and YouTube to for the people to see it. And I'm sure whoever sees it will be getting all this important piece of information. Let's come to Emma. Emma, would you like to introduce yourself first? I don't want to make that mistake again that I made with Haley.
Hi, I'm Emma Bates. I lead the Nottingham Financial Resilience Partnership. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, thank you so much for inviting me here this afternoon, and the other services who work around financial difficulty. In Nottingham, we have a partnership that works together around preventing and tackling financial difficulty with all the services and organisations that have got a potential role around this from across different sectors. So we are working together. We work to objectives every year to address the issues. So we've got about 30 to 35 different organisations involved. We're particularly pleased to be asked to this show at this time of year because we know at this time of year, as we're going into winter, things are often getting particularly hard for people. And with the cost of living crisis that's been happening over the last year or so, we know that there's a lot of concern and worry for people. What we particularly want to do today is let people know about the help that's available. And at the end of the show, I will talk about where you can get information about all the services in the city. Next week is National Talk Money Week. where we particularly encourage people to do one thing. One thing you might want to think about is to talk to somebody else about your financial difficulties, to take that first step, which can be incredibly hard if things have become quite bad. But we would really encourage somebody to talk to a friend or family member, or to contact one of the services. There are various things people can do around their money issues preventatively, and also then some of the services that we've got here today and in the longer list I'll explain at the end. So today we've got Leslie, who's here from Nottingham and Links Credit Union. We've got Sally Denton, who's here from the Nottingham Law Centre, and we've got Kath Worrells, is that how you pronounce your name, Kath? Sorry if it's wrong, from the illegal money lending team. But we would just really encourage everybody listening to think about taking a step around addressing money issues. That might be about thinking about if you're in a situation of if you're thinking about having to borrow, then think very carefully about where you're borrowing from, and Leslie's going to talk about that. I won't say any more about debts because Sally, I know, will talk about that. You might sit down, if you've never done that before, and work out all your ins and outs as a starting point. Also, for Talk Money Week, you might decide to sit down and start talking to your children about money and helping them to think about learning about money, because it's really never too early. And those skills around money are really important. So there is lots of help out there for people, and that's the message we want people to take away from today. So I'll hand over to colleagues now.
Thank you. Thank you. That was quite helpful. So, as we have got three important guests here, let's go to Sally Denton first, and she's here from Law Center. Sally, welcome and thank you for being with us today. The information I've got that you're going to talk about the work that the advice services deliver in terms of debt benefits and housing and common issues that are being seen, and would also like to focus on housing debt and possessions, as we're seeing that this is happening quite a lot these days. So over to you, Sally.
Thank you very much. Yes, so my name's Sally and I work at the Law Centre in Hysing Green. The Law Centre is part of Advice Nottingham, which is a group of advice agencies across the city. And we deliver advice principally around things like benefit, debt and housing. So the sorts of things that we might be able to help people to do in relation to benefits, we can look at the people's income and whether they would be entitled to some additional benefits to help them out financially. Sometimes there are benefits, particularly disability benefits, that people don't claim, and they can increase people's improve people's financial situation significantly. We look at whether people are getting the right benefits. So sometimes people on universal credit we've seen aren't perhaps getting the correct rent element, or they're not getting money for all of their children. And then we can also look at where people have been turned down for benefits. We can look at challenging those. So between all of those services, we can improve people's levels of income. But we can also help people who are struggling with their outgoings and are getting into debt. So we can look at challenging debts, rescheduling debts, and if it's not possible to make offers of payment because people's financial situation has become so difficult, we can look at things like debt relief orders to help people to sort of manage all of their debts together. And we can also do things like apply for breathing space, which puts everything on hold while people are given an opportunity to sort things out. With housing, we can help people that are facing possession proceedings or at risk of being evicted. And that might be because of mortgage arrears, it might be because of rent arrears, whether that's private landlords or social housing providers. And at the Law Centre, we run the Housing Possession Duty Scheme at Nottingham County Court. So where people are faced with possession proceedings and they've been summons to attend court for possession, there will be a member of staff from the law centre there to provide advice free of charge. You don't have to pre-arrange it. You can just turn up and somebody will be there to represent you. And we can take details, we can negotiate with the other side, and we can represent you in the hearing. So in terms of the sorts of things that we're seeing at the moment, we're seeing lots of people that are struggling to maintain their rent because of shortfalls in their benefits. So people that are affected by the bedroom tax or local housing allowance. We're seeing a lot of problems where people are under pressure to pay non-priority debts because those lenders shout the loudest, and they're paying them at the expense of things like their rent. So that's causing them to fall into arrears. We're seeing lots of problems with landlords applying significant rent increases so that people are no longer able to afford their rent. And then we're also seeing people that are struggling financially because of the cost of living and the cost of fuel and everything that goes with it. So I think the other thing that we are seeing quite a lot of is people who are living in quite poor housing, where landlords are not doing repairs, and that may be because of landlords' own financial circumstances. But that's also compounded where people aren't able to afford, for example, to heat their property. So we're seeing problems with damp and mold growth, and that has an impact in relation to people's health. I think in terms of what I would like to say as a sort of message to people, is that often people who are getting into rent arrears or facing possession think that there isn't anything that can be done to stop it, that it's the landlord's property and they'll be able to get the house back and they'll have to go. And that isn't necessarily the case. And there are things that can be done to prevent it. We successfully defend possession proceedings all the time. But the most important thing is to either turn up at court or, even better, to try and get advice before it even gets to that stage, because it may be that we can get additional benefits. It may be that we can negotiate with the landlord. It may be that the way that the landlord has chosen to bring the case is flawed, and we can defend it on that basis. But the problem is that a lot of people don't come to court, and then possession orders are made in their absence. So we'd really encourage people to get some help. We know it's happening a lot. We know that landlords, for example, there are a lot of people facing possession now, lots of Section 21 notices being issued to people. And we would really encourage people to get advice, because we're seeing a lot of times where landlords haven't followed correct procedure. And it's really important to get defences into the court as early as possible.
Right. I mean, the situation that you have just explained looks that it's quite dark at the moment, and a lot of things are happening which people might not even know, um, who are able to pay their rent or mortgages. But the thing is that you're right. A lot of people, as a doctor, I know that when our new slot comes in with the new doctors, they usually get houses on rent or mortgages. And this time in August, a lot of people were finding very hard to get into rental properties or to buy a property because the mortgage rates are very high and all that. I mean, I don't know the details, but this is what the picture that I had seen in August. And yes, we in general we do see that the cost of living is really high as compared to the salaries and the incomes of people and the tax and all that. So obviously it's difficult to match, and I think you are at the front line seeing all this happening quite often in the community. So just one question that I wanted to ask you is, what happens if the landlord serves notice or you get court proceedings for rent arrears? So how do you help that person, that family?
Okay. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll check all the paperwork to make sure that that's all valid, because sometimes landlords don't follow the correct procedure. The other thing that we'll do is we'll look at the arrears, we'll look and see whether they're correct, we'll look to see whether the person should be entitled to any additional benefits that will help them to pay their rent going forward. We'll look to see whether there have been any errors with benefits that might have caused the arrears that we can resolve and therefore clear the debt. We'll look at whether it's possible to put the person into breathing space. So that would put a hold on the possession proceedings whilst we have an opportunity to work with them to improve their financial situation. We'll look to see whether there may be a counterclaim against the landlord. So it might be that you owe rent arrears, but it might be that your landlord hasn't done any of the repairs and therefore you've got a claim that can be offset against your arrears. So we look to see whether it's possible to reach agreements with landlords for payments going forward. So there are lots of things that we can do. People can't be evicted without a court order, and landlords have to go through the correct procedure to satisfy the court that they're entitled to a court order. And so it's not just a case that they can turn up and kick you out of your house, and it's not a case that they can just go to court and the court will automatically give them an order. So there's a lot of things that we can look at. There's a lot of arguments that can be brought to prevent people being evicted. The only thing that I would say about that is that if you've got a private landlord, then they can rely on some mandatory possession grounds where the court has less choice when it comes to making a possession order. And so those ones are really important that we get advice, we get to see people and get to give them advice as soon as possible, because the sooner we get to people and the bigger the improvements we can make in their situation before it comes to court, the more likely we are to be successful.
Okay. Right. Very scary though. But
it is scary, and that's why we would really urge people to get advice, because
absolutely,
it's a very, very frightening thing to happen, and you really need somebody in your corner, and that's what we're there to be for people. So we'd really encourage them to get advice.
No, thank you, Sally, for being with us today. And this is really helpful for people to know that there is someone to help out there in the community, and for all the noble work that you're doing out there. Let's on move to our next. I think we have the next one is Kat Wallace. Is that right? From
It is.
Illegal Money Lending.
That's right.
Thank you, Kat, for being with us. So I believe you'll be talking about illegal money lenders, which are also known as loan sharks. And you'll give us some examples of some cases and so how to, what are these loan sharks basically, and how you can get victimized and how to prevent yourself from being victimized. So over to you, Kat, about this.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name's Kath Wohlers. I work for the England Illegal Money Lending Team, which makes it sound a bit like I lend money illegally, but I don't, I promise. I much prefer Stop Loan Sharks, which is our social media handle, and that kind of describes a bit better what we do. So we are a team who are there to prosecute loan sharks and remove them from communities, but also, and more importantly, to support people who might have borrowed from them. So a loan shark or illegal money lender is somebody who's lent money without permission. So if you want to lend money as a business, you've got to go to the Financial Conduct Authority in government and fill in a load of paperwork and pay some money, and they will authorize you to lend money. Loan sharks don't have that authorization. So that means they probably won't give you paperwork for your loan. You might not know how much you've got to pay back, and they may even resort to threats if you don't pay them or if you challenge them in any way. So in reality, what that looks like is people paying back an awful lot of money for relatively small loans. The worrying thing for us is most people who go to a loan shark don't actively choose to go to a loan shark. So they think they're borrowing from a friend. Over half the people we supported this year said they thought they were borrowing from a mate. But actually, when they challenged that and said, surely I've paid you back by now, or maybe had to miss a payment because it was school uniform time or something like that, and the person turned nasty, that's when they realised that maybe they've got themselves into something that was a bit worse than borrowing from a friend. So it's basically a case of buyer beware from us. It's a case of thinking about where you borrow money from. And if you have got any concerns about this person you've borrowed money from, whether that's someone you work with or someone you've met online or someone at the school gates or even someone who's lived around the corner for 20 years, that we are here to help. We don't judge people. We can talk to people anonymously if they'd rather do that, but we are here to help and support people.
Right, right. Looks like these loan sharks are everywhere. So how do you, like, if someone is actually with the loan shark debt, what should they do then? How to get out of that victimization?
So the best thing to do is talk to us. We've got investigators on our team who can look into loan sharks, and we go around the country executing warrants and arresting loan sharks, basically. But alongside that, we'll look at what your situation is. So quite often you can imagine people who've borrowed from loan sharks will be in a lot of legitimate financial debt because they'll pay the loan shark before they pay their rent or their mortgage or their council tax or anything else, because this is someone who's sending them 150 WhatsApp messages a day or shaming them on social media or turning up at 5 a.m, hammering on the door and scaring the kids, or even worse. So they get paid before anyone else. There's a lady I'm working with at the moment. She earns £1,088 a month. She has 4 children. The loan shark's currently taking £900 of that £1,088 a month.
Wow.
So she has nothing left after that. So we'll look at what we can do with that. You know, this lady's facing eviction, going back to Sally's point, and we're looking at what we can do with that, because the reason that her rent arrears are high is because she's paying the loan shark, and that's not her fault. You know, we'll look at what we can do with food banks if that's what's needed. But primarily, we are a prosecution authority, so we can remove loan sharks from communities, and then people don't have to pay them anymore.
Hmm. I mean, when you're talking, I was just thinking that if there was someone who needed money all of a sudden, like you look for loans, and then if the credit history is not very good, the overall rating is not good, that lot of loans are being rejected for last a few years, especially in COVID days. We've seen that. So how do people with low credit rating can actually borrow money to whatever reason they are in that debt? How do they go about?
I think there's 3 things really. The first is, do you need borrowed money in the first place? You know, if you are borrowing money to pay off debt, that's probably not the best thing to do. You know, you'd be better off getting debt advice and actually working with the people you owe money to, organizing repayment plans. You know, Sally talked about breathing space. There are things that can be done if you're in debt rather than borrowing more money. The second is income maximization. You know, are you getting what you're entitled to? Are there benefits out there that you could claim that you're not claiming? And that might mean you wouldn't need to borrow anymore. But if those things have passed you by and you do need to still borrow some money, then we recommend credit unions very heavily. Credit unions are fabulous institutions. They will lend smaller amounts of money, the kind of £250, £500 that we see a lot of people going to loan sharks for. And it's not kind of computer says no. I think sometimes people can get a bit discouraged going to the banks and, you know, feeling like they're being not judged, but that, you know, there's a process going on there that they're not in control of. Whereas credit unions work with people. You still have to be able to afford the loan, obviously. Otherwise, the credit union will be breaking legislation, and they will check that. But they will work with you to help in any way they can. And that might be about helping you rebuild your credit history. So if you can't borrow the full amount you want first time, they might offer to lend you a smaller amount of money. And then, you know, given that you pay that back correctly, that helps them lend you further money in the future. And a lot of credit unions also promote saving alongside borrowing. So as you're paying back the loan, you're paying into savings account at the same time, which helps you with financial resilience in the future. So that's the best place as an alternative.
So when people are in this situation, is there any website, is there any link, any number that you want to give to the people so that they can contact?
Yeah, definitely. So the illegal money lending team, Stop Loan Sharks, can be reached 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 0300 555 2222. And we've also got live chat on our website. That's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And that's stoploansharks.co.uk. Because we find sometimes people don't want to talk on the phone. They'd much rather type. It feels a bit more anonymous, I think, sometimes. But either way is fine by us. And as I said before, you can talk to us anonymously, talk to us in confidence. But, you know, as Sally said, it's about getting advice and getting it as early as possible. And then you can decide what you do next, but at least you're doing it from a place of information.
I mean, listening to you, it looks like there isn't a chicken and egg situation. It's a vicious circle they enter into. The more they borrow, the more they have to give, the more, and then the lesser they will have. I mean, it's a vicious circle that never stops, and it's very hard to break that from somewhere and get that person out of it, because already a lot of debt had already been built up. So how can someone protect themselves from getting into this kind of I think you've explained quite a lot already, but it's in my mind. How do people can actually just stop themselves from entering that vicious circle?
I think it is about being careful, So a big red flag for us would be someone who lends you money without paperwork. Anyone that lends you money, the credit union, the banks, anybody else, they have to give you paperwork. And there's very strict legislation which says what that paperwork has to contain. Loan sharks won't bother with that. They'll be vague about what you've got to pay back and when you've got to pay it back. And then there might be signs that they take security sometimes against loans. So we've had loan sharks who've taken people's bank cards, their cash cards. So they literally control their finances. Anything that doesn't feel right, I think it's always just worth checking. We'd rather have 100 people ring up about legitimate lenders than miss that one person who's the victim of a loan shark. So we're here to help with that as well. If you're concerned about someone before you borrow, then give us a ring and we'll tell you if they're authorized or not.
I mean, I'll tell you, there's so many scams these days. There's so many scams. I don't know how these scammers work, but my children say to me and my husband that you're the worst people. You can get scammed so easily because anyone can fool you. I don't know why they say that. I think children are more they because they're more IT savvy these days. They know much better than our generation. But to be honest, it's very difficult to get out of these scammers. The way they trap you, the way they come to you, it looks very real. And then the next moment you think, oh, this was a scam. This is something that we shouldn't have done. So I know it is scary, as you said. And I think Kat's advice is $1 million advice. So whoever is listening to it and will listen to it later on, I think this was very good piece of information. Thank you, Kat, for being with us today. And I think we should do these kind of talks again and again so that people can get into this information more, because once a while they might not put their ears to it, but if we keep on talking about it, then people will be listening to us. Last but not the least, Leslie, you've been listening to us very, very patiently, and I know you've got a lot to tell. So you're from Nottingham Credit Union. And again,
Yes.
yes, we've been talking about credit unions and all this quite a lot. So we will be discussing developing a culture of saving, how to stay away from high cost credit, and also understanding the credit unions as an alternative to commercial banking and affordable loans. So I think, Leslie, over to you. I think we need to hear you. That's important.
No, thank you, Dr. Kamila. Just to say that years ago it was known as Nottingham Credit Union, but now over the last 3 years we've merged with Lincolnshire, so it's actually Notts and Links Credit Union. So with credit unions, they operate over geographical areas, and with this particular credit union, it operates in Nottingham, all across Nottinghamshire, Lincoln, and also Lincolnshire. And then we've also got an extra part of that where if there's somebody who works in an organization who are a part of what is called our payroll system, then they can also access the benefits of being with a credit union as well. But one of the things that we automatically say to people, and in trying to help people along, especially through these austere times, and there's the cost of living crisis, which seems never to be going away, is also to be mindful about the money that people are getting in whichever ways they get it, whether they're on universal credits, whether they're on legacy payments, anywhere they generate income. It's also about increasing the amount of money that they have, but also decreasing their expenditure. And one of the ways, tricks we encourage people to do that is with regular saving. And so we really encourage people to set up 3 savings accounts with a credit union. Very easy to set up. You just go to the website, Notts and Links Credit Union. You register for a free account, and then you can actually set up a standing order which takes money from your bank account and pays it into your savings account. And the benefit of that is that it's easily accessible for you. You can actually access that at any time. And we've got different pots, as we call them, savings accounts for people who want to save up for Christmas. So right at the moment in time, people have been saving since the start of the year, and then will be pulling out their money from a credit union to use at Christmas time. Some people use it for holidays or buying school uniform, etc. Whatever the reason is, you can actually save for those purposes. And the difference about credit unions is that, one, they're owned by their members. So anybody who lives and works in those areas, not certain links, they can actually register and set up and be a part of a credit union. But they're also a member, so they own a part of the credit union. But a slight difference for us, credit unions, compared to the high street banks, is that we want to help people. So the money that we get doesn't go into the pockets, full pockets of shareholders. It goes reinvest back into the business, so that we can help people who are on lower incomes to be able to get out of their financial predicaments. So there's people who've been saving with us for years because they understand. Some of them are very well off, but they like the principle and the ethos of the organization. So we would say that it's like a not-for-profit organization, charitable basis, but charitable sort of bank, and it's helping people in difficult times. But it's not only just savings we do also affordable loans. And one of the good things I would say about the credit unions as well is that whereas you get some of those high cost credit lenders who, and it's really amazing how a lot of them would operate. Some of them, you just type in to see where you can get loans from online. You'll see some of them charging what's called an APR, annual percentage rate, of sometimes 50, 60, 70, 100%, 200%. Some I've seen up to 4,000% APR. So, wow. And because people don't understand fully how the payment system works when you take out a loan, they get duped and they get tricked. So we always say that obviously do your research first. Also come to a credit union, because on our credit union website we've got a loan calculator. We'll say to people, well, if we're not the best, that's fine. And if your credit rating is good, go elsewhere. But for those people who may not have a great credit rating, then it's obviously best to come to us first. Because another benefit is that our APR rates are capped. We won't lend above 42.6% APR. Now that may be high for some people, but depending on your credit rating, it can be good. And an additional benefit is that if you work in an organization who are a member of a credit union and signed up to our payroll scheme, then you can get a loan as low. The loan value then APR value comes down to as low as 13%. So there's many benefits of that. You joining a credit union. Again, like I say, it's totally free of charge for people to set up savings accounts with us, and it's totally free of charge for employers to join, as we call it, as part of their corporate social responsibility to support their employees in these trying times.
That's really helpful to know. So what my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding from what you told is that the savings account that you set up is free of cost. So you're not charging any interest or anything on the savings account.
That's right, yes.
All right, okay. The loans that you can give are the best APR that you can give to the person according to their credit history. So they can go up to only 42%, you said?
Yeah, 42.6. So we won't go above that because whilst we do want to make a profit, the profits are reinvested back into back into our organization. We understand that actually, charging above that is not a good thing. So unlike there's other providers who charge extortionate amounts, we won't do that.
No, thank you so much, Leslie. That's very helpful to know. Actually, to be honest, I never knew that this could be done through Nottingham Credit Union. And I'm sure people who listen to us will know of your services. And the Because I work in psychiatry and I've seen a lot of people getting into mental health problems because of their financial problems. So it is like it's so integrated. And obviously, if someone is in severe depression because of a severe financial problem, no job or high debt or something, we cannot treat the depression. That is situational depression. You can give them as many antidepressants as possible, but if you don't help them with their social situation, you cannot get them out of that problem. So basically, I will add my mental health two pence in it, saying that we say that we treat by biopsychosocial model of mental health, which means that we treat with medication, psychotherapy, and with social circumstances. But reality is that we should be treating the social model first.
Yeah.
And unless you don't remove the cause of that problem, you're not going to remove the problem. It's like you can give painkillers for pain, as many as possible, but if you don't treat the cause of the pain, it's not going to go away. So I think this is really important for not only just the social background of people, but also for their mental health and physical health issues. Thank you so much for all our guests today. I'll go back to Emma to summarize and to give some closing remarks, and then we'll go one by one to all our guests to give a closing remark for today. Thank you. Over to you, Emma.
Thanks, Dr. Kamila. I'm really glad that you've mentioned about mental health. And just to flag, we did a survey of residents earlier in the year, and worryingly found that 20% of people felt that they were unable to cope with their financial circumstances, and 18% had actually reached the stage of seeking medical help because of the stress from their financial circumstances. So that is a really real serious concern. And we know as well that the levels of financial difficulty in the city are very high. So we're so pleased that we've been able to be here today. I would want people to remember from today, firstly, to think about doing one thing about your money situation over the next week, whether that else for the first time, if you've never done it before, which I know can be a scary thing. It might take you a while, but it's worth sitting down and doing it. If you are in a situation of having to borrow, be sure you can afford to repay, and never ever borrow from a high cost lender. Think about whether or not you can swap any of your bills for cheaper deals, things like broadband, insurance, mental block, any of those bills. Think about any, because quite often you can save quite a lot of money. If you are maybe talk to your children about money. If you would like to learn about more about money and numbers, there's a lot going on right now in the city through the Multiply program. You can go on Facebook and find if you just Google the Multiply Nottingham page, there's lots of free fun sessions happening all over the city. If you do need help, please access one of the services here today, or for the list of all the services, if you Google Ask Lion Stroke Money, just Ask Lion Stroke Money, and it will take you to all the services that are available. You can also look on the Money Helper website, which is the national website, as well as the list of services on Ask Lion Money. There's also lots of tips and information about dealing with money issues and things we've not covered today as well, like savings accounts and bank accounts, how to get a bank account. So there really is lots of stuff out there, but please do seek help if that's going to help you, and take action about your money, because we're here to support and help people. And perhaps the final thing to say from me is that the way all the services work is that nobody judges. People are here to support you. People are here to listen and give useful help. And a lot of people say the first time they take a step towards dealing with their money issue, they sleep for the first time. So it's so important. So that's it from me, and thank you so much for having us, Dr. Kamila.
No, I think I should thank you because, to be honest, when I looked at the stuff, I was thinking whether it's actually related to healthy discussions or not. But when I went through the whole program, and I did feel that it's really important because we're not here just to treat with medication, injections, and so on. It's about the social care that we give to people and look after the social circumstances. That's really important. And I would now take the closing remarks from all the guests, and then we will say goodbye to our show today. So, Leslie, since you were the last one, you'll be the first one to give the closing remarks for today.
Yeah, no, just to say, let's say thank you for obviously inviting us all again. We're easily accessible. You could just type into Google Knots and Links Credit Union. You'll be able to find us there. We do work in partnership with all of our partners in the city, and and there's other organisations who are not here, like say Gambling Support, that we work with, and also a food bank called HIMA, which operates within Nottingham City, which gives food parcels out to those needy and vulnerable. So really, it's just to say that you're not alone. We're here to help. We're easily accessible. You just get in contact, and we'll be able to give you advice and support.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you for being here with us today. Sally, would you like to give your closing remarks, please?
Yes, thank you very much for letting me be on the show. I just wanted to say that it's a really difficult time for people at the moment. There's lots of people that are struggling with their finances, and it's making people very unhappy and oftentimes very ill. And we would just say, don't do that by yourself. Just come and get some help. That's what we're there for. I think sometimes people think that they will be judged, and what people that do my job know is that it's a very narrow desk that we sit on the one side of. We could easily be on the other side, and we know that. And so that's why we really want to help people that come for advice from us.
Absolutely, Sally. Thank you for your help and your advices today. Kat, shall we go on to you, please?
Thank you very much. I think just to echo what other people say, the sooner you start those conversations, the sooner you reach out for advice, the sooner you will sleep better. I pretty much guarantee it. I've been doing my job now for about 15 years. I've never had anyone say, oh, I wish I'd never spoken to you people. I've had plenty of people say, God, I wish I'd spoken to you people a couple of years ago. And I think, it really hits home with me every time that happens that, the earlier you have those conversations, the sooner you will feel better about it. And, none of us judge. As Sally says, we could all be the other side of the table. And, there's nothing that can shock us. We've been around the houses a few times now, and there is nothing that can shock us. So, yeah, it is just having those conversations. So to get hold of us, you need to Google Stop Loan Sharks. We have a website, and also our helpline is 0300 555 2222. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you so much. Haley, thank you so much for being with us. And I think your small steps, big changes. I think that's a very big step to take big changes. You're doing so much out there. So we'll take your closing remarks, please.
Yes, thanks again just for inviting me to the show. And just wanted to urge all of those families with young children under 4 and those who are pregnant, just to really visit the Healthy Start website, just to double check if you're unsure that you might be eligible, just to please visit the Healthy Start website, which is www.healthystart.nhs.uk, and then the information will be there, and you can either apply online, or if you're struggling to apply online and just need that extra support, just to visit one of the financial services that have been here today, and they can support you along that way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the team today. It was really helpful for all of you to be here, and I really think that this is the start of this is discussions. It is not the end. We need to actually talk about this in detail. Each and every aspect of what we have discussed today is really important, not only for the social circumstances but also for the mental health and physical health of people having young family, young children in difficult situation. I think that is something, as Emma said, that it was so difficult for some people and they slept, um, they had a sound sleep after many months when all this was actually resolved. So I think I should now stop with this program today. It was a very helpful program, and again, this will be live. This was live on Facebook, but the video will be there on Facebook for you to see. If there are any questions, you can put the questions, and I will review them. And if there are, if there's anything I can answer straight away, I will. But if I have to go back to one of the guests, we will do that for you. I hope we all live in peace and all our matters are resolved, because that is one thing that we would want in this era. I will come back to you with a new program next Thursday. I think the time is not decided as yet, but we will be seeing you Thursday, maybe 7 to 8, maybe in the afternoon. So watch out for healthy discussions with Dr. Kamila Haider on Radio Faza 97.1 FM. Thank you. Allah Hafiz, Namaste, and Sat Sri Akal.